This is just the garden where we grow these beautiful people into amazing adults. So I think for our allies to come and see, the richness of our culture and our unity and just the happy, positive vibes that come from Indigenous people when they're put in the right environment.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Scott?
Good, good.
So, Chimigwech for taking the time to meet with me today. I'm really looking forward to the Little NHL and opening ceremonies and all of the activities and gathering with like friends and family that event brings. My name's Mallory Rose, and I'm from Curve Lake First Nation. I'm a business owner. I love creating videos, and this is kind of just like my side gig that I do is the YouTube channel because I love just creating videos and storytelling. But yeah, and I played in the Little NHL for Curve Lake from like tyke until midget and played in the girls and the boys division when that was still allowed. I don't know if that's still allowed, but absolutely like one of my favorite like memories growing up. So it's really close to my heart and I can't wait for my son to be able to participate. So welcome and Chimigwech, Scott. So Scott, if you could introduce yourself and then after that introduce the Little NHL.
So, anin, Zomgabwe Dijnakaz, Bising Dunjaba, Shagad Dodem. My name is Scott McLeod Shabgijik. I'm chief of Nipissing First Nation. Been chief here now for about a little over 8 years.
What is your role or how can you introduce the Little NHL to someone who has never heard of it before?
Well, there's a lot of history behind the Little NHL. I actually attended the very first Little NHL tournament when I was a little tyke. I was actually called the Squirt Division back then. Yeah, I was in the very first one, and I played throughout my minor hockey stint every year afterwards in the Little NHL, not missing one. It was a very big, exciting tournament for Indigenous kids. And one of the things that I think, we kind of lose sight of sometimes today is why the tournament came to be. Back in the early 70s when this started, there was really not too many safe places for Indigenous kids to play sport and feel welcome and feel like they belonged. And so this tournament came out of that era when we needed our own safe space and to feel good about ourselves. So it was a lot more than just about hockey. It was about identity for Indigenous kids. It was about self-esteem. It was about belonging. There was a lot of things that were going on, in Indigenous communities that really culminated and created this tournament to provide that safe space for Indigenous kids. Being the host now today and chief of my community after that many years is it's quite exciting for myself. Coming up to the tournament time, and it's just a really special place. The hockey part is fun, and everybody likes a good game of hockey, but it's important to know just how important this is for Indigenous kids and where we came from.
Wow. Chief McLeod, Scott, you definitely just explained and summarized my entire childhood feelings that I didn't even know that that's what it was all about. Because as a player and participant and like family member who is fully immersed in the Little NHL growing up, I felt all those things that you just described. However, when you're going through it, it doesn't seem like it just seems fun. It just seems like this is a fun place and this is where I belong. And we never really pinpointed exactly why it was so special. I know my experiences, your experiences, and the current Indigenous youth members of their own communities. Why do you feel that the Little NHL is important today for communities? Do you feel like it's the same or that it's shifted at all?
Yeah, I think, the origins are still intact. I think it has shifted a little bit to be more competitive, and the feeling of not being welcome in sport today is not as evident, and it's maybe a little bit in the rearview mirror for us, which is a good thing. Everything needs to evolve. But I think we always have to remember the spirit and intent of the Little NHL and where it came from, because it's a lot of parents and coaches and players put a lot of emphasis on winning, and really that's not what this tournament is about or should be about. It's about everybody getting to participate and feel like they belong there. That part needs to stay, and I think all of us have a duty and an obligation to not only, have, the kids that on your bench having a good experience and a good time, but more importantly, the kids on the other bench. And I think that's how you keep that balance, is by making sure that your opposing team is having just as much fun as your own kids are. And I think, as parents and community leaders and coaches and fans, we have to remember that, and we have to put that in the forefront of this tournament.
That's amazing. You touched on a few things there, being the importance of like the spiritual aspects, and also balance being really like important cultural teachings that I've talked about a lot on my YouTube channel. But in your opinion, why does the spiritual, social, and community elements of bringing different nations from all over the province together in a sport and wellness environment, why do you feel like those components are so important to make this event so special?
Well, I think if you look at the history of Indigenous people in Canada over the last 150, 200 years, whether we come from Southern Ontario, or whether we've met them or not, or see them once a year at this tournament, it's just a gathering of people like people that have shared the same experiences and find strength in each other. And I think it's just that whole social aspect of our nations coming together and seeing each other. And, I grew up, this event, in my mind, being bigger than Christmas as a kid, right? You could hardly wait for Christmas to be over, because you knew the March break was coming, and that was when you got to play in the Little NHL, and it's ours, and I think we take a lot of pride in it, and so there's a lot of good vibes coming from that tournament atmosphere and getting together, not just when on the ice, but in the restaurants and in the hotels and in the lobby of the arena. There's a lot of catching up and seeing people that you haven't seen in a while. So it's all around, a great family First Nation event that, like I said, hockey is like a small part of this. And I think the bigger, just the unity.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That was definitely my experience growing up. I remember when I got to high school, some of my classmates saying like, where are you going for March break? Like, we're going to Florida. We're going on this vacation, that vacation. And that didn't even enter my brain, because March break meant the Little NHL and seeing all of and like, it was just so like monumentous compared to anything else. And so I can definitely relate to what you're saying. Like you mentioned, it being like a really significant gathering for many nations. What do you feel like the responsibility of yourself and the organizing team's process and making sure that the event has the best experience for all participants from like a cultural and community perspective, and making sure the right people were on that organizing team?
Yeah, so it's a fairly daunting task, because the tournament has grown so much over the years. Little setback obviously during the pandemic, but regrouping now, and it's so big that we have to have it in the southern part of Ontario, because of just the number of teams participating in communities. To have the number of ice pads available, the number of accommodations that are required, all those things make it a lot of work to organize. So you need a lot of volunteers with a lot of energy to be able to bring this event together and make sure the people that attend have a really good experience. I think one of the driving factors behind making sure that happens is there's always a bit of a competition with hosting communities to do a better job than the last community. It's kind of a friendly competition, and you really want to, I think, in our case, and probably every other host community, is you want to showcase your community. You want to show what your community can do, right? So there's a lot of pride. Actually, our volunteers are just down the hallway here getting ready, and you see all the gift bags and all the lanyards and stuff getting ready to be sent to the arena for the opening ceremonies. There's a lot of buzz in the air, and if it wasn't for our community volunteers and the staff that are dedicating their time to pull this together, it wouldn't be the same event as it's going to be. So yeah, dedication, hard work, work, enthusiasm, all that stuff. And a lot of that comes from, these volunteers have participated before, right? Or their kids have, and they know what it's about. They put that extra effort in, which is a beautiful thing to see.
Right. It must be so meaningful to them, and that's kind of gives them that extra energy to volunteer at the full energy level that they need. I can't even imagine what the vibes and the energy must be like in your offices and in your different meetings right now. It's probably like pressure and like also nervousness, but also excitement. So but that's just what I'm guessing anyways.
It takes a lot, because especially after the pandemic, our volunteers and our committee here has been organizing this for 3 years, right? And getting canceled, several times. And, I went in to see our volunteers hard at work the other day, and there's hundreds and hundreds of welcome bags for the kids. Well, they all had to be emptied and updated with new programs and new, with the right dates. And so it was a lot of work, lots of work to get to this point. So yeah, dedication is very high here.
I can't even imagine what that would have been like, having to cancel and postpone, and everyone is really, really excited. I know for me personally, when I'm even just leaving my house and going to interact with someone, like I'm still getting used to socializing again. So it's kind of like, hi, just like cling on to any conversation. So it's going to be the hype is going to be incredible. That's what I'm expecting anyway. But overall, from someone who has put together the programming and the planning, and you have the inside insights of what to expect. What can people expect at the Little NHL this year overall, from opening ceremonies to game schedules, locations, any specific happenings that you can share?
Well, and I know you're fishing there for a little bit of an insight, but one of the other things about being the host and the little rivalry is the suspension that we put everybody in. We like to keep everybody on their toes. We give little hints, and I'll give you one now. That's this opening ceremony is going to be one that you've never seen before. We're pretty excited. All I can say is you got to just be there on Sunday to see it. We're going to be putting on a really good show, and really proud of my community in getting behind this.
I am so excited, Scott. I can't even tell you. Now, for a lot of my subscribers that haven't participated in the Little NHL before, or they're just like, they're allies and wanting to support in any way, what can viewers or like people that are kind of on the outside communities take away from seeing the impact that Little NHL has on players, families, and Indigenous communities?
You've kind of nailed it on the head there, is to see the impact of what positive environments do to Indigenous kids who are going to be, productive Indigenous adults. We've been through a lot in the last century and a half, and really never given any chance in the past history to really shine and do things that we're capable of doing in life. And that's not, well beyond the hockey rink, and in education and in professional positions. And, this is just the garden where we grow these beautiful people into amazing adults. So I think for our allies to come and see, the richness of our culture and our unity, and just the happy, positive vibes that come from Indigenous people when they're put in the right environment.
That was very beautifully put, Scott. Thank you so much. And I can't agree with you anymore. That's really, really good stuff. Okay, and you mentioned that like coming and supporting is welcome, is allowed. So how can viewers who have never been to the Little NHL before but want to participate, is anyone allowed to attend, or what should they do?
Oh, absolutely. The schedules will be posted on social media. The Little NHL Executive Committee has a social page on Facebook, as well as Twitter, I believe. So the games schedule of First Nations and divisions will be posted, so you'll know what arena. I believe there's 6 different pads that are going on at the same time, all within 20-kilometer radius kind of thing. So it's very busy. We're constantly driving from one arena to the next arena to see whether it's your nephew, niece, son or daughter playing, or you just want to see some of the competitive games, right? Some of the older girls and boys in the higher leagues that are playing competitive and put on some pretty exciting games. Lots of things to see. There's going to be all kinds of artisans there, as well as food vendors and all kinds of information booths on various government and treaty-based initiatives, those kinds of things. Lots of things to see what's going on in Indigenous country for Indigenous people, as well as the allies to come in. See and experience this event. It is a one-of-a-kind event. It honestly is, and I would encourage any non-Indigenous person who wishes to come and participate and support to come in, and everybody is welcome, and come and join the fun and the experience.